on reimagining workspaces, the theme building smart and sustainable workspaces. My name is Sandeep. I'm working as a counselor in Indian Green Building Council, and I'm glad to moderate this session for this afternoon. Be it home or office, COVID or no COVID, workspaces plays critical role in occupants' productivity and creativity too. What more can we achieve with sustainable workspaces? Why should one adopt the sustainable workspaces? Like these many questions are been already been in the minds of many participants who has joined this particular session now. We have excellent experts from both the Indian Green Building Council and as well as from the Godrej and Boys Manufacturing Company Limited, who is also the premier supporter of Green Building Congress 2020. Let me take through the agenda. Starting with right now, we'll have the opening remarks from our Vice Chairman, Mr. Gurmeet Singh Arora, proceeded with the presentation from Mr. Abhijit, and also post that we'll have the presentation from Mr. Samir Joshi, next with the architect Praveen Kumar Soma, and the last but not the least presentation we'll have from Ms. Tejashree Joshi. And after that, at 5:25, we'll have question and answers session from with all the panelists. These questions request all the participants to post the questions in the chat box so that we'll take the questions and request you to put the question against the panel name so that we'll be able to answer. The right panelists will be able to answer the questions. And 5:40 will be able to close the session. With this, let me. I'm glad to invite Mr. Gurmeet Singh Arora, who is the founding and also the executive council member of IGBC, who is currently the vice chairman of Indian Green Building Council, and is also the chairman for Green Existing Building Rating of IGBC, and currently also the managing director of Rajco Group. Mr. Singh is national president of Indian Plumbing Association and also the founding trustee of Indian Institute of Plumbing. He has been honored and facilitated by many organizations, including Builders Association of India, Brihan Mumbai Licensed Plumber Associations, among many others. So we request Mr. Gurmeet Singh Arora to give the opening remarks for this wonderful session.
Thank you, Sandeep. I have to reimagine workspaces, not my profile. So let us talk about workspaces today. Well, a very good evening to all of you and a warm welcome to the delegates. Mr. Abhijit Ramchandra Pisal, Associate General Manager and Head Godrej Green Building Consultancy Service. Abhijit, you are the third head of the Green Building Consultancy Service who I've worked with. I worked with HMD, Mr. Daruwala, Rumi Engineer, and now you are there. So you can imagine our association since 2001 onwards. Mr. Samir Joshi, Associate Vice President Marketing B2B Godrej Interior. Tejashree Joshi, Associate General Manager and Head Environmental Engineering Services and Sustainability, Godrej and Boys Manufacturing Company. My colleague, Architect Praveen Soma, Senior Counselor, CII IGBC, dear participants and friends of this community. I would request all of you to please be on mute, otherwise you'll be disturbing the participants. All of you are IGBC's biggest strength. It is because of committed stakeholders like you that India has today achieved 7.62 million square feet of footprint, 6,000 projects now all over the country. This has elevated the country to one of the top 5 in the world in terms of built-up area. In fact, when we started the IGBC in 2001, I've been a part of the movement since then. We had the first building that we built, and that is also the CII Sorabji Godrej Green Building Center. So it's really an honor to be with the Godrej family, where we started with a 20,000 square feet building, a building which costed us 18% more over a conventional building. Whereas today, a green certified building does not cost more than 1 to 3% more over a conventional building. And sometimes because of mandatory laws within the municipal corporation, like you have to install STPs or solar building, certain things which are required in green buildings are mandatory by the government also, and therefore a green building costs nearly the same as a conventional building. A special mention of Godrej must be made for being one of the pillars of support of the green building movement since 2001. Godrej, thank you very much. And Godrej family, you have been part of the green building movement, and I hope we will remain for the next many, many years together. The IGBC HQ in Hyderabad, as I told you, is the first platinum rated green building. Today it's a
Hello. Gurmeet sir. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Oh, okay, fine. Okay, we'll call him. I'll call him, but not mute చేయండి. I think. No, don't mute. Can you hear me? You're able to hear me? I think he'll join back again. Yeah, Mr. Chaitanya, just wait for a minute. I think Mr. Gurmeet Singh has lost his connection, is joining back.
Sure.
So you're joining? Okay. Mm-hmm. ठीक है. Sure, sir, we'll do that. Yeah, I think there's a little connection problem from Mr. Gurmeet Singh. He might be joining us a little later, but he wanted to convey that it's a wonderful session, which is very required at the right moment. And apart from this particular topic, he also mentioned that all the participants who are there in the session, he expressed his personal invitation to join the Green Building Congress, which is happening from 29 to 31st October and 2020, which is fully packed with the international conferences and as well as the green exhibition on products and technologies. So with that, we'll move on to the next, which I mentioned, the next presentation from Mr. Abhijit Bissell. And let me introduce him. He is the business head of Godrej Green Building Consultancy. His association with Godrej Group was started way beyond 2004, as mentioned by Mr. Gurmeet Singh. He's an BE Electrical and also IGBC and lead AP and BE Energy Auditor. And he's having more than 15 years of experience in providing green building consulting services, and not only for commercial and residential. Among all the 27 rating programs of IGBC has been very much having experience in the consultancy of various rating programs, and specifically on the focus on the design, installation, and commissioning of MEPF and BMS systems are his key areas. And with this, I think with his versatile experience, he has been as an instrumental in promoting the green building movement across the nation. We welcome Mr. Abhijit to the session, and we request you to take over.
Thank you, Sandeep.
Chaitanya, please give the presenter rights to Mr. Abhijit, please.
Yes, it's given.
Yeah, I think my screen is visible to everyone, right? And am I audible? Hello?
You are.
Thank you so much, Sandeep, and thank you, Mr. Gurmeet Singh. I think I'll sure you'll collect back soon. Thanks for the introduction and kind words we talked about. It's my pleasure to be part of this webinar, which talks about for sustainable and smart workspaces. Thanks a lot, everyone who's joined actually this webinar in this tough conditions today. Corona has brought tremendous suffering and losses to all of us. It's human or both economic losses. But it has also reminded us that what is really matters today is health and safety of people around us. It also showed few positive glimpses of ecology planet during a lockdown. We experienced clean and air, water, and sky. So if we actually really decide to live our lives and do our businesses in sustainable manner, both people and planet can flourish together. So coming to the community that I work in, the built environment, traditionally people have been constructing structures for the shelter, but today people spend 90% of their lives in built structures. That's what it's important to create spaces that enhance or rather they hinder our health and well-being. But at the same time, building also accounts for 40% of global energy, 39% of CO2 emissions, 12% of potable water, and 40% of solid waste. There's a huge impact on planet or ecology, which leads to climate change. Today, we already experience this impact on our livelihood and economy or businesses because of climate change. At the same time, I think owners, companies look for profit from people and planet. There is a very delicate balance between people, planet, and profit. Sustainable development can achieve all the three, the triple bottom line for the businesses. Today, fortunately, many companies are well aware of green certification sustainability aspect, thanks to green building movement spearheaded by IGBC. And they are willing to actually invest more for the green features in the building because they know what benefits they're going to get out of the return on investment and various incentives given by government as well. But fortunately or unfortunately, people are reluctant to put extra efforts to make the workspaces also healthier. Some of them are not even aware what are the impacts of built structures on our lives or the occupant health and well-being. These are some of the familiar faces, or no, you must have seen in your offices, or even you yourself in experiences. And all these things happens due to maybe the air that we breathe in our spaces, the water that we drink, the ergonomics which is provided to us, the olfactory food that we eat, comfort level that we get in offices from HVAC. So all this actually impacts on our lives as well as occupant health. So you need to understand what is the relation between built environment and health and well-being. So as per WHO, health is a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being and not merely the absence of disease and interference. Wellness plays a significant role in occupant engagement, productivity, talent retention, creativity, and innovation. The occupants perceive built environment through their 5 senses, that is smell, taste, sight, touch, and sound. 5 elements nature, that is earth, water, fire, and air, ether, actually makes the built environment, which affects our physical, emotional, intellectual, and social health, social well-being through these 5 senses. So if health and well-being actually of occupant can enhance by improving the features of the built environment. But it's not about only people and planet. Today, we want smart and sustainable workspaces for various other drivers that we have going forward. Flexible and adaptable design, especially post-COVID, I think that is going to be the main focus on interior designers. How we can make our spaces flexible and adaptable to actually handle these situations like we are having today with pandemic. Corporate brand image also reflected from the offices that they built, they operate, and the people actually working in these offices. The happiness level of the people. So it also decides the brand image of the corporate today. Return on investment, definitely if you go for sustainable, people look for return on investment, and that's how they invest. We have already discussed with the global challenges that we are facing today, climate change, but I think most importantly, pandemic that we have in COVID-19. COVID-19 actually is going to affect the spaces, workspaces, the way we're designing, whether it's a security system or the entryway system to the building, the plumbing fixtures, plumbing system, HVAC system, and the workspaces design, the furniture, etc. So we need to design our building in future to meet such requirements. Maybe more pandemics coming, we never know. So we have to be adaptable to do that. Technology plays a very important role in sustainable buildings because today we also have good technology available, whether it's IoT or POT or BMS systems. We need to use this technology to make our buildings smart and sustainable. But ultimately, it's about people, the health and well-being of people. But today, the new millennial, it's not about only health and millennium, but they think differently. Their views are different. The way they operate their building or work in offices is way different from maybe our generation used to work. So whether our spaces are we going to design are meeting those requirements or not, so that aspect also we need to consider. So we talk about green, sustainable workspaces. What are the building features or elements that we need to address? We need to address air, water, energy, landscape, waste, food, nutrition, materials, and so on. So all these aspects of building elements actually will help us to make it smarter and healthy spaces. But is it a responsibility of only one person, the developer or owner, or is it an integrated approach which is required? Yes, we need an integrated approach from developers, owners who's going to build the spaces for people, the design teams who's going to work on the workspaces, the architect, IT consultant, MEP consultant, green consultant, manufacturers who's going to actually provide those technology, the efficient system, healthy systems and materials for building, the execution team, PMC contractors, commissioning agent, and operation team who's going to run the building and get the benefit which we expect to get. Coming to base building design and strategies, which is also important even if you're talking about the interior fit outs or the workspaces we're going to occupy. Any owner or company looking for a space in any base build should look for these features. Rather, I would say even the developers who's constructing or developing a building want to have good customer in spaces should be incorporating in these facilities and features in the building. So what are those features? First thing is transportation. I think today transportation contributes almost 15 to 16% of greenhouse gases emissions. We need to address that. So location of building plays an important role. It has to be in already developed infrastructure where all the basic amenities are available and we can get those without using our vehicles. Mass transportation system, more and more people should be using that. We need to promote electric charging vehicles or alternate fuel vehicles. And most importantly, bicycle usage. I think that's very important because it's not only will bring down your pollution, but it also will improve your fitness level. The landscape design actually can reduce the stress level, the anxiety that occupants have. Properly designed landscape, even interiors and exterior, would actually help doing that. in external environment, it also helps to reduce the heat element effect and makes your exterior spaces more cooler compared to other spaces or other developed places, and which encourages people to use that and increases their physical activities in the building. But at the same time, we also need to take care of our water and use water efficient irrigation system. Water and waste management, the simple mantra for me is reduce, recycle, and reuse. So water, definitely we have low flow plumbing fixtures today available to reduce the flow. But considering the COVID aspect, I think we're looking at touchless plumbing fixtures which can be built in your building. Rainwater harvesting as well as the STP is important, where we can use the recycled water for flushing, landscape, and air conditioning system. But at the same time, we need to manage our water quality so that we don't spread the Legionella basis diseases to the people. And waste converters or can be used for making it manual. Building efficiency of commercial building especially depends on the air conditioning load. Almost 40 to 50% load is your air conditioning load. It depends on the building envelope efficiency as well. Whether it's a wall, glass, roof insulation, or even shading element should be properly used in your building. But we need to also check whether in your interior spaces you want to occupy, we are getting good amount of daylight and we have outside views, because it's going to help the people to enhance their productivity. Building efficient energy systems, I think definitely I would prefer water-cooled chill water system, centralized chill water system, which is much more efficient than VRF system. Many builders don't even provide air conditioning system and expect customer to put their VRF system or split units, which is not a good solution with respect to energy efficiency. So I would suggest owners, customers to also see this aspect of energy efficiency systems in the building. Monitoring control system, it's not about only per square feet rates that you're going to pay to your owners or landowners, but how we can make a monitoring system robust so that we actually pay on actual energy consumption and water consumption, which will encourage interior spaces to be more energy efficient and save money for the owners. And last, the safety and security. Now, today we're talking about COVID. I think the things are going to change with respect to security and safety design. Everything could be automated. We're talking about security gates based on RFID, thermal scanning while entering the building, touchless biometrics, elevators, and entry doors. So I think this is the new technology we need to use so that we take care of people and address the COVID issue as well. Coming to the interior spaces design, I think there are many elements or design features which contribute to health and energy efficiency or water efficiency of the building. Let us say HVAC design, water management, daylighting, acoustic design, interior spaces. What are the HR or company initiatives who's going to improve the performance of the people or improve the productivity, the operation team, and smart tools. Coming to HVAC, I think we talk about air. I think this is the most important, especially air pollution today is one of the biggest challenges globally that we are having. WHO estimates that 12.7% of deaths could be prevented by improving the indoor air quality. When you talk about indoor air quality or indoor air, it is actually 2 to 5 times more pollutant than your outdoor air. And that is one of the reasons even the WHO guidelines for COVID, I think, talks about having better ventilation in indoor spaces. If you do not have better ventilation, more enhanced fresh air, you might actually have more chances of spreading your COVID. So to address this, I think we need to not only provide as per fresh air as per ASHRAE, but I think beyond ASHRAE, we need to increase the fresh air. But while doing so, we also increase the energy load of the building. So how do we handle that? So there is a system like heat recovery systems, demand control ventilations, TFA with VRF system. I think these techniques are can be used in your buildings to bring down the energy load because of this additional fresh air. Even some of the buildings, if climate weather permits, you can use natural ventilation, but it reduces the respiratory and cardiovascular diseases and enhances the productivity. But can we actually control the pollutant at the source level itself? Your photocopier rooms can have your separate rooms itself with proper ventilation. Need to use entryway mats or vestibules for arresting your dust coming from outside. And most importantly, the air filtration that you use in the air handling units. For any green building, usually we go for MERV 13, but which may not be sufficient when you talk about the occupant health and good indoor air quality. Especially in COVID scenario, I think we need to maybe add UV lamps in the system, and some of the areas may be carbon filters, so it can address not only the dust and bacteria, but also the VOC levels and odors that we get. So having these controls definitely improves the indoor air quality and health of the occupants. Even during construction, when we do construction activity, we need to protect our HVAC systems and materials from dust and moisture. Protecting your ducts, cleaning the ducts, and even adequate scheduling can help to doing that. Source control is also helps, for example, keeping your paint containers and adhesive sealant containers separately in isolation room with proper exhaust can help improving the air. Housekeeping helps during construction as well as post-construction. When you talk about thermal comfort design, I think it's a very subjective to individual usage. Whatever you design, which as per ASHRAE standard, at the end of the day, maybe your employees may not be happy with the thermal conditions which are provided. There are 6 factors actually that affect the thermal comfort of the air, spaces: the temperature, RH, air velocity, mean radiant temperature, clothing, and metabolic rate. Temperature, RH, and air velocity actually you can handle by having proper air conditioning design. For mean radiant temperature, various solution that we have today to improve the radiant temperature of the surfaces, whether it's a chill wind system or even radiant cooling panels. But we need to be very careful about the humidity which can arise because of that, and it might create more problems with respect to the air quality. Companies also need to give flexibility in terms of using what kind of clothes occupants can actually wear, and which will improve their thermal comfort or individual controls. Coming to air distribution system, UFAD, I think earlier we used to use only for server rooms, but today I think we're seeing in many big offices it has been used because the ventilation effect is much better compared to a normal system. But sometimes it is not possible, then you need to have proper zoning of thermal zoning and use VAV system to actually provide air condition air to occupants. Having individual controls is also a good idea, but it's very difficult, maybe costly affair to have an individual comfort systems. Coming to water, I think as per many experts, health experts, they say men require 3 to 3.7 liters and women require around 2 to 2.7 liters per day. But many people actually keep dehydrated throughout the day because of various reasons. One of the reasons would be the water quality that they get. They might not be sure whether it's a good water quality they're getting, or even access to drinking water. The way it has been provided in offices also decide whether people are going to drink that much amount of water or not. Using some of the technologies like UV disinfection system actually helps to improve the water quality. Water test reports should be actually done regularly and should be actually displayed near the water dispensers. But again, COVID point of view, you need to have a touchless water dispenser and fixtures. So adequate hydration improves your cognitive performance. When you talk about daylight and lighting, definitely it helps visual, mental, and biological health of occupants. Natural daylight access is important, but at the same time, we should not get the glare. And that is one of the reasons many people don't use effective natural daylight. Even you can get glare from your artificial lighting that you use. So we have techniques in interior spaces can be designed such that you don't get the direct daylight. Even you can use automated blinds. Lighting could be indirect lighting where the glare would be less, and designing a lighting system with controls as well as circadian lighting design. It will improve your alertness, enhances experience and productivity. But what is circadian lighting design? I think when you talk about circadian rhythm, the human have internal clock that synchronizes physiological as well as functions of 24-hour cycle, depending on the 24-hour daylight that we get from outside. But indoors, matching that cycle, it's very difficult. But today, the technology, the lighting fixtures available where you can actually, achieve those things. Otherwise, disruption of body's circadian rhythm has been linked with obesity, diabetes, depression, and metabolic disorders. Coming to sound, I think it can hinder productivity, focus, memory. People are not going to actually focus on their work. Productivity goes down. Acoustic design is very important when you actually design your workspaces. There are various options available: sound barrier, sound masking, sound absorption to improve the reverberation time, separate zoning so that you don't disturb the quiet zones, and even sound attenuators in ducts, because a lot of HVAC equipment actually makes a lot of noise. So proper acoustic design and management can reduce stress and potential health risk. Coming to physical activities of occupants, I think a quarter of world population are physically inactive. I think we've seen people sitting in their places, hours of time, not even moving for their chairs. But we think they're productive, but sometimes they may not actually. You require a good amount of physical active so that you improve your occupant health. To do that, I think many things can be done. Your interior design can actually to encourage people to use of staircase, can put a music system or design in such a way that people are encouraged to use those staircases. Innovative workstations can be used where sitting in your place, you're still active. But more important is awareness. I think people need to be aware about their physical fitness, and we need to provide the extra fitness centers, maybe gym, to have better fitness of people. Indoor, outdoor play areas is important, outdoor spaces. At the same time, at the interiors, you need to provide showers and lockers. So people will encourage to use those facilities because they know there are showers and lockers which can be used. So it definitely enhances the occupant physical well-being and reduces the stress level. When it comes to ergonomics, I think work-related musculoskeletal results in 2.5 billion medical and associated costs today. And even I think working from home is very difficult for many of us actually. And there are the new product line which people actually introduce to improve the ergonomics, working from home also much more easier for people. So desk height flexibility, seat flexibility, visual ergonomics, these are some of the techniques you can use to improve the ergonomics. The adequate space planning, today again, talking about COVID, I think we need to have proper space planning done for the occupants. It really helps preventing health aspects related to bone and joint disorders. Design for differently able, of course, is kind of mandatory for all offices. We need to provide that, but it's important to actually create some kind of experience and physical comfort level where they also feel part of the team and deliver as others are delivering. So some of the techniques like spaces, ramps, entrances, toilet, preferred car parking can be provided to improve the physical comfort of differently able people. Coming to materials, which is very important aspect with respect to environment as well as health. I think today there are materials available with environment-friendly materials. We have IGBC green products where products are already certified, which are environment-friendly. EPD or LCA guidelines, even health product declaration, which actually defines what is the ingredients used in those products, which could be harmful for the health of people. Similarly, recycled content materials, local products, FSC certified wood, CRI certified carpets, green guard materials. So all those certification available today, products are available in the market, which can be used. The proper selection of materials required to minimize the impact of environment and health of people. Certain materials are actually very, very dangerous for the health of the people, especially the VOCs that we emit from paints and adhesive. And some of the materials is mercury, even asbestos, which is banned actually, but still it could be there in some of the installations, and lead, which can actually lead to severe disease like cancer. So I think very important to address this issue, go for low VOC or no VOC paints, adhesive sealants, and zero use of mercury or asbestos and lead in your products. I think a lot of experts say 30% of adults will experience some mental health conditions during their lifetime, and which is happening. But problem is people not recognizing that people are having mental issues, the stress, depression, but they're actually scared of talking about it. So how we can improve the interior spaces where we can address this particular issue. So I think having biophilia, that is having landscape within the spaces or outside the spaces, and design your landscape or a space layout integrating the natural elements. definitely can help enhancing the emotional well-being of occupants. When it comes to operation, I think waste management and housekeeping actually is important, especially in today's scenario. We need to segregate the waste, the recyclables, the hazardous waste, manage it properly. A lot of people now actually going back to their offices and occupying that. Sanitization and cleaning becomes important. Even the duct cleaning is important because so many days there is a dust which can actually contribute to infection, disease to spread. So robotics duct cleaning can be used in your building, and green cleaning products, which will actually reduce the risk of spreading respiratory and other communicable disease. Now, coming to company initiatives that we expect owners or companies to provide for occupants. I think we talk about food and nourishment. I think this is a very important aspect where poor diets have second leading risk factor for mortality, 8%. Whether it's obesity or severe diseases like cardiovascular, even high blood pressure, actually depends on what kind of food we eat, what kind of nutrition we actually eat. But I think no more than providing only the fruits and vegetables, it requires a kind of change in habit of people, and it is possible with a lot of promotion with health and healthy foods, even limiting sugar, oil, promoting whole grains is required. Even using dishes and plates which are hygienic, UV sanitized, considering the COVID aspect. So healthy eating habits and better health for people. Emotional and intellectual well-being is important. I already talked about that. Mental health awareness is required, which can be actually having more sessions, awareness session, provide company. The campaign for yoga, spiritual program definitely can help reducing your stress level and improve your mental health. Some of the HR policies also can affect the like flexi work time, work from home during exigencies, employees connect and feedback. It really creates inspiring workspaces and enhances the emotional strength of occupant. At the same time, social well-being is very important when you talk about health of people. Enhancing bonding and occupant feel emotionally strong and secured. For that, I think a lot of initiatives from HR and company could be cultural festivals, celebration, outdoor sports, family get-together, even the safety awareness, inclusiveness, gender diversity. So all those aspects should be addressed by the company or HR. Coming to end of the design and operation, I think the measurement and testing is very important. Now, whatever your design needs to be tested, whether it's IOQ of your air, water quality, thermal comfort, lighting, acoustic, energy. I think we need to check not only during commissioning, but later on when you're during operation regularly, so we maintain good health and efficient buildings. What are the smart tools today available? I think building information modelings, which is not new to the industry, but I think still people struggle to use this for various reasons. But it really improves the coordination, cost, and resource savings, as well as it gives a high quality results. PoE, power over Ethernet, I think is a technology which can be used for cost saving, which is flexible, robust, and reliable. It's also a social and environmental benefit because it can be used by occupants for their individual comfort levels and saves energy with proper use of PoE. And IoT, which is there in the industry now, already there in a lot of industries, I think need to be more in the building industry as well, because it can save energy energy for the owners, the monitoring, employee productivity and safety. So what we achieve by actually making your spaces sustainable, that is smart, green, and healthy. So it definitely talks about planet, people, and profit. The planet we talking about reducing the energy, water, and resource conservation or consumption, reduction of waste and carbon emissions. Definitely is going to help our planet, the people, and the increased awareness of building occupants for health, fitness, and nutrition, less sickness, reduce absenteeism, improve productivity, innovation, satisfaction at work, happiness, and improved quality of life, and reducing the occupant healthcare cost as well. Profit for company and developers, attract and retain talent, clients and investors, return on investment, enhancement of brand image with green image as well as people-oriented company, retain tenants, and premium in rental. So it's a win-win situation, triple bottom line when you go for smart, green, and healthy workspaces. But I personally believe it's not about only design and operation, but it's a behavior of people who's going to make difference. Today, whatever we provide, we create a good space for people, but people don't use it in effective manner, then it's not going to help and not achieve our objective. So people need to take these learnings from their offices and get it to your lives, their families, friends, and that's how there will be change in the culture and the society that we can see. To end, before I end my presentation, actually, there are 6 steps that WHO has recommended during one of their sessions regarding healthy and green habitat post-COVID. I think cherishing and protecting the source of human health and natural world, invest in vital life-saving services like access to water, sanitation, and healthcare facilities, quickly move to clean and renewable energy, switch to healthy and sustainable food systems, make all buildings, cities green and healthy, and shift from economy driven by profit and pollution to low or zero carbon and well-being of people. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Abhijit. Anand here from IGBC. What an amazing presentation Abhijit has captured with all his rich experience and expertise being a part of the Indian green building movement ever since we started in 2001. It's an amazing, especially he is able to connect with respect to the pandemic we are all going through, how the air quality, the water quality, adequate water amount of water we take, the wellness, and how it is aligned with our ancient wisdom of holistic and being. It's not only the effectiveness on the work, from a simple measures to take the steps instead of taking the escalators or elevators. Amazing, amazing. The wellness, the bonding between the people, teamwork. It's a beautiful presentation to set the tone and start the session with his rich experience from handling diversified projects across the country and across the world. And he is also part of the World Green Building Council and advancing net zero. So he really heard from the expert, from the horse's mouth. Whatever slide he has showcased, he has enormous amount of experience to back it up for every alphabet which has come up through the very powerful, colorful, and great impactful presentation. Thank you, Abhijit. Thanks once again for being a part of this amazing Green Building Congress exclusive sessions with Godrej and team. So once again, thank you, Mr. Abhijit. Now, having heard from Abhijit, another equally interesting presentation we have from Mr. Samir Joshi, who doesn't need any introduction at all. He's an amazing person whom you all know very well in IGBC, and is currently working as an Associate Vice President Marketing for Godrej Interior. Godrej Interior is also a Green Co and Green Pro certified product. And Abhijit also mentioned about Ergonomics. So it is also he leads the Ergonomics and Workspace research cell that is actively involved in predicting the future of work. That is all the more an important topic with the pandemic we are all going through. Where will we work? How will we work? How are we going to sit? And what kind of furnitures and finishing we are going to have? And he's also associated with Wellness at Work initiatives, getting Godrej Interior prepared for future-ready workspaces. And he's also part of the National Executive Committee of Indian Institute of Interior Designers, popularly known as IIID, with a body of 8,000 architects and interior designers, having delivered several guest lectures at top B schools in India, including Xavier's and SIBM and IIMs. He has several research papers in the area of future of workspaces to his credit. Now, I cannot stand between him and you all. Now I request Mr. Samir Joshi, Associate Vice President, Marketing, Godrej Interior, to share his rich experience amongst all of us with respect to ergonomics, workspace, and future of work. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you for that generous introduction. Can I get a presenter access so I can share my screen? Yeah,
Yes, sir, it's with you.
So, yeah. I hope it's visible, presentation. When you present in a webinar, there is no live feedback. So you always wonder whatever you're saying, is it reaching, not reaching?
So my request to all of you wonderful people who are here for the session, please keep giving your comments and feedback in that Q&A comment section, so that at least I know that whatever I'm saying is reaching you. Well, reimagining workspaces is something that we have been doing for almost 6 months, day in and day out, ever since the pandemic struck us. It's a topic which has been discussed over and over again. I think we have gone through all, from the initial shock to what's going to happen to offices, to slowly coming back to realization that we are going to go back to offices for sure. Only question is when, and only medical fraternity will be able to provide us that answer. But we are going back to offices for sure. One important area that we have to look at when we sort of reimagining workspaces is what are the kind of workspaces we are currently occupying. Over the last 10 years, the workspaces that we occupy have undergone a change. It has undergone a lot of change. The workspaces are more open and transparent. Workspaces are denser. In search of maximum return on costly real estate, workstations are sort of packed together. So workspaces are denser. They have become more and more open and transparent. So there is no protection and I would say shields in between. We are seeing lots of collaborative spaces because organizations wanted to leverage power of formal and informal networks, making people collaborate with each other and respond faster to organizational changes. So that's something which we see in the offices that we occupy today. All the images that you see on the screen incidentally are Godrej interior furniture, because that's the one which I had access to. So I've chosen those and sort of showing it to you. Lots and lots of collaborative spaces in different areas of office. We sort of said enough with a cabin culture. Let me come out in open and work in open and transparent manner. So that's what happened to our offices over the last 10 years or so. Workspaces are also sustainable. So they use sustainable furniture, certified furniture, whatever may be the certification, be it a level, indoor advantage, green pro, but it's an assurance. So workspaces are generally being using sustainable furniture, sustainable material. We are all aware of environmental impact of material that we choose, and there are lots and lots of prescriptions. Consultants like Abhijit come in and say what we use, what we should not use in your offices. We use furniture which is recyclable. On the screen is one of my chair, which is 98% recyclable, and that green assurance is something which is given to every client. So offices have become more open and transparent. They are sustainable. They use certified furniture. They pay attention to recyclability and care for environment as well. So if I had to just give you Godrej Interiors example, we have implemented the design for environment policy, which takes care of not only product life cycle completely, but end use, where some solutions are offered in terms of recycling. We call a recycle program. So we have seen this movement across. How do I minimize impact on environment when I set up an office? Can I do something on transportation? So a simple welded structure, instead of welded, can I do a knockdown, which will help save me greenhouse emissions? And initiatives like that have been implemented. And you will see current offices that we occupy has all of this. Of course, people are focusing on reducing of consumption of energy. I'm happy to work from my Godrej Interiors corporate headquarters, which is India's first IGBC net zero energy building, and shows the commitment that modern workspaces are going through for reducing the environmental footprint. So be it the manufacturing processes that we adopt, be it Green Co certification for manufacturing, various renewable energy usage in the manufacturing, minimize energy usage, rainwater harvesting, so on and so forth. So organizations, when they set up buildings, have taken this and more initiatives. what I'm showing you are some of the initiatives we have taken at Godrej Interior, but normally workspaces have become sustainable. We are more aware thanks to efforts of IGBC over last several years. We are taking those definitive steps for making our workspaces sustainable. So if I have to sum up, our current offices are actually designed to bring people closer, enable collaboration and teamwork, increase organizational agility, which can aid in faster response. Organizations can leverage people assets, and as I said, they are denser because one can generate maximum return on costly real estate investment. Of course, offices are. If I look at IGBC's health and well-being rating standards, it has gone beyond just sustainability and incorporates something which I will just give you a small glimpse through this video. So if you really look at this entire movement about giving people choice, freedom, and control of how do they work and where do they work from, thereby unleashing the power of social networks and leverage people assets, has been one of the key drivers of the way we design spaces over the last 10 years. So workspace design was actually focusing on all of this when we were setting up our offices. However, offices were not created to keep people apart to stop spread of infection. That was not the driver. Offices were getting designed for what we listed earlier. So in wake of COVID-19, workspaces therefore definitely need a rethink because they are not designed to keep people apart and stop spread of infection. What has become primarily important in post-COVID world is workspace safety. It is not only important to create safe working environments, but organizations also need to communicate through enough visual clues that the space is safe for people to work. This has become one of the primary drivers of workspace design in post-COVID world. And who is setting up the boundary conditions? Workspace redesign is actually dependent on organizations, people, strategy, and processes, both of which may be radically different post-COVID-19 outbreak. So workspace actually supports people and processes. So whatever I do work with workspace is result of my people strategies and changes that I do with my organizational processes. And that's one of the boundary conditions. The second boundary condition in immediate, say next 1 year, has been put by the medical advice. And medical recommendations are clear. How do I stop infection from coming to my workspace? How do I ensure 6 feet apart? Social distancing is a word is a misnomer. It's actually physical distancing while staying connected in social world because you want your employees to collaborate. Personal hygiene, cleanliness, disinfection, all the process part, and how do I sort of. So this is what the medical guidelines are putting a condition on workspace design. So workspaces are no longer getting designed from the conventional criteria. 1, 2, people, strategies, and processes have changed, which is putting up the boundary condition. And 3, to superimpose medical recommendations have put implications for workspace design. And workspaces have to navigate, workspace designers have to navigate through all this to sort of deliver what we call a future office. So what will be that future office? How will be that future office? We have discussed this over and over again in last 6 months, and leading experts and thought leaders have come out with 5 to 6 actions which one need to take, which will be component of the future office as we go forward. One thing to remember, this pandemic has a life. It may be 18 months, it may be 24 months, and offices are not designed for 18 to 24 months. Offices are designed for a longer period of time. What it means is when you invest in a new office right now or over next 1 year, you need to invest in flexibility in workspace design. And flexibility in workspace design is just not about furniture. Furniture, yes, you need to have flexible settings there. But what do you do with your electricals? What do you do with entire HVAC and other services that support a workspace? All of them need to have that flexible setting. There will be a day when we go back to normal, which is a post-pandemic world. Can my office sort of change its settings again and again? Can I create and recreate that space again and again? Can I build up enough flexibility so that whatever solutions that we implement are valid for a world which we will call a normal world again, from a new normal to a normal? Can we create and recreate? So that's the primary thought for workspace design. What you saw are actually pictures of just furniture, but what is implication for workspace design is even the entire services and how do I plan that space. One of the designers I was speaking to told me, Samir, look, there are 1,000 people in the office. All of them come in the morning. How? And if I had to sort of do a temperature check, there may be a 1 kilometer long queue. So you require innovative solutions. What do you do there? How do you handle? How do you plan common spaces? There are no shared spaces currently. How do you take care of lift? How many lifts will you have in a building? Do you mean you will not go vertical? So that these and several other questions is what space designers are grappling with, for which one needs to find answer. The workspaces of the future definitely will be people-centric. It's people who decides what results which organization produces. And people need to be supported with workspace so that organization delivers its results. And that's a primary consideration. So can I maximize those workspace moments where people can work very free without getting impacted with what's going around them? So whenever I need, I can get that me time, and whenever I need, I will be able to collaborate. It's all about people, and that's going to be a primary driver. We cannot forget that this pandemic forced a large amount of population to work from home, part of which is likely to become permanent work from home. IGBC's health and well-being standards under emotional well-being, which is emotional intelligence well-being credit 2, already had a provision for work from home policies under head of HR. This is something which is going to become even more important as we move forward. When we look at, we actually surveyed almost 1,600 individuals who were working from home, and the results are pretty startling. There are lots and lots of distraction at home. Indian homes are smaller, so what you have is kids doing their schoolwork online. A wife is working somewhere. Old parents are there, and a person is trying to work on his own office work. So it's not very, I would say, simple situation to tackle. You require to set up a home office. There are postures. Initial part of the pandemic, we all thought maybe that's a Wuhan model, 76 days and we'll be back to our work. Unfortunately, that has not happened. So people were working from dining tables, sofas, bed, and so on and so forth, but quickly realized that I need to invest in a good chair and a good desk for me to work. Where is the space? How do you sort of have a furniture which will mend with the rest of my home space? And if I don't do that, 41% of the surveyed 1,600 people actually reported various forms of pain at the end of the day. Huge amount of lower back pain, shoulder pain, eye strain, headache, all of these issues. And I'm not talking about office, I'm talking right now about work from home. So these are the issues that we need to tackle as we go forward, because work from home is here to stay. The future offices, we heard Abhijit, they're likely to be digital. Right from moment I get into my office, right from finding a parking lot to which lift to take, which workstations do I occupy, which conference room is available, all of this and more. There are lots and lots of possibilities on the screen. All this are actually going to go digital. Can I Can I measure occupancy? Can I control lighting and HVAC load based on that occupancy? Can I hook on all this live feedback to my building management software so that I overall control cost of energy for the entire building, so on and so forth. So future office is likely to be digital. I know one of the participants asked that question, if everything is going to go digital, when Abhijit was presenting, is when everything is going to go digital, my energy consumption is going to increase. Yes, it is going to increase. So what do I do with my net zero? Well, it's about achieving balance of whatever credits which are available to you. So in workspaces, huge amount of things are likely to go to digital. On the screen is a workstation which can be controlled with the help of your app. You can have your personal settings. Workstation can recognize that you come in and adjust the height. You can select your preferred options and so on and so forth. All of this will be part of your future workspaces. And not only this, but more. So you control everything with the help of your with the help of an app. Huge amount of video conferencing. All of us have adopted to video conferencing. Technology was available earlier, but this pandemic has forced us to use it more often. So all of this is going to be part of our regular working in the office. And I need to find more and more spaces which will adopt and help people sort of work in this new digital environment. So that's another, I would say, fourth trend, which is going to happen to the future office. Well, workspaces of the future need to be ergonomic. Our ergonomic research cell did a survey across 100 corporates across the country, and findings were startling. 76% of the employees reported some form of neck pain or back pain. Drivers may be many. It may be because of long hours of sitting at desk in one position without breaks, deadline pressures, working on gadgets, laptop, desktop, and all of that. There are many drivers, but this statistics in itself is alarming. 76% of the people are experiencing some form of back pain and neck pain. Workspace of the future need to factor in ergonomic performance of the workspace as one of the key drivers for workspace design. And this is something which is extremely important. When we actually try to put numbers to this, of number of people suffering from back pain and neck pain and loss of productivity, the finding came almost 15% loss in the productivity with employees taking leave due to various musculoskeletal disorders and pain issues in a span of months. And this is something which has implications for organization. Indian workspaces are noisier. We speak in a louder noise, and our normal tone is higher, but then there are lots and lots of other distractions at the workspace. 65% of the surveyed people actually reported that they find it difficult to concentrate and work because of the noise levels in the workspace. Probably a case for IGBC health and well-being rating, so that all of these issues are taken care in design. But acoustics is a huge issue. And why not? Because as I said, workspaces are becoming more open and transparent. The moment you have reduced the partitions and you have put a lot of people together and they have become denser, acoustics is bound to be a huge challenge. And one needs to find strategies to mitigate it. If you have to really research the workspaces of the future, it is to be based on research of users, what they do. Godrej Interior's workspace research team looks into issues to enhance people's health and productivity. What kind of distractions they face, how they can be healthier, how do you leverage power of social networks, how do you educate on visual ergonomics, postures, and so on and so forth. And we published these findings in form of research paper, as well as we have a robust wellness at work program, which helps in assessment, correction, and prevention. This is the cornerstone on which the program actually works. So we will, our team of experts, including ergonomists and doctors, they will assess a workspace for its ergonomic quotient, identifying hazards, look at how people work, look at work profile studies, analyze pain cases, etc., and then suggest workspace and ergonomic solution so so that all of these issues are taken care of. The correction phase actually involves how do we remove these identified hazards? What are those interventions which are necessary for offices to stay healthy and prevent these hazards from happening? How do you constantly communicate, create awareness amongst employees? Abhijit spoke about a lot of facilities being created, but nobody using them. How do you create that awareness? Wellness tips, research papers, so on and so forth. So this is something which is constantly needed for the organizations. So ergonomic audits, wellness services, ergonomics at desks, organize the desk correctly, small exercise, office yoga module, so on and so forth, will actually help increase the wellness quotient and ergonomic performance of the workspace. This is interesting. You would say, workspace, what is this bed doing? That bed is an analogy. When you design this bed, one of the key consideration which is given is a lot of those electronic components there in this bed, they do not interfere with person's heart, brain, or other body rhythms, because all electronic components, emit magnetic fields and some amount of radiation. So there is a specific rating system for a healthcare bed. And now you connect back to what I presented, that offices of future are going to be digital. They will be full of sensors, they will be full of digital gadgets all around us. Each one of them may be with safety ratings, but when they're together in a small space, what's going to be the effect? So workspaces of the future are digital, and they need to have additional safety when it comes to digital safety. The gadgets use, I touched earlier very quickly, because there are a lot of risk factors which emerge with improper usage of gadgets, and that our users need to be trained. Either they're at home or at office, using an approach where you sort of educate them, organize illumination, and whole lot of other comfort which goes into space. IGBC health and well-being rating already talks about physical, emotional, and social well-being. And all of these factors come together once you sort of look at it. So what's going to be the future of workspace? Well, I just touched base on few of the concepts there. We looked at the initial, the workspaces that we occupy today. We looked at what's going to happen to the post-COVID world and what's going to be the future in terms of those larger trends. Overall, we recommend a model which we call a result delivery model. Workspace needs to support people and processes so that organizations deliver business results. That is the key. Workspace actually is not an end in itself. Workspaces are designed to help people and realize organization processes so that final business outcomes come. And with that, I would like to end with that thought. I would like to end this presentation. Future, I'm sure, is bright. We are going back to offices. We are going back to those workspaces, and it's going to be back to normal when only medical fraternity can tell. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Samir. Thanks for enlightening us with amazing visuals backed up by the surveys which you have done in the recent 6 months. It's all alarming numbers. Many of us also are part of the neck pains and whatever survey you mentioned. We thought that we are not alone in that case. Amazing. And the way in which you said the people, the process, the resulting in results. Every organization is different by itself. And within the organization, also the department's goals and the way in which marketing, sales, technical, R&D, administration, and finance they work, they need a separate set of workspaces. Very colorful visuals, and all coupled with scientific reasoning, how it has to be done, why it has to be done, and the impacts. Amazing. And virtually, I have shared many of your options like the app-based, all the correction-based, result-oriented in our IGBC executive board parallelly. Any of our IGBC executive board members are thankful for the very wonderful slide, and especially your recent survey results, especially the distractions, the kind of a place every one of us are never provided with an office kind of an environment at home. So we all occupied, as you rightly said, the tables of my kids and others. I am working, even this one I'm taking it from my own son's study table. Actually, I don't know. Since morning I'm sitting, how good or bad, I don't know. So it's an amazing, every one of us are traveling through that. It is so apt. You're able to share with all your rich experience. Once again, we in Indian Green Building Council, IGBC, thank you for joining and sharing your expertise, touching up how eco-friendly the product should be, how you are operating out from Godrej. Plan 13 is the green building, how it will evolve over a period of time whenever our medical fraternity asks us to or announce as COVID pandemic is over and whenever you're opening up. Amazing. You touched every part of the life. Once again, we in IGBC thank Mr. Samir for joining us and sharing insight about furnitures are no more seen as the tables and chairs. How, what, when, where, how you is going to touch all the five senses of our every individual, every single minute. Thank you, Samir, for being a part of this wonderful exclusive session of IGBC for Godrej, who are all premium supporters. So thank you, Mr. Samir. We at IGBC appreciate. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now I turn my spotlight onto my own colleague Praveen Kumar Soma, who's an expert, and he's with us for more than 1.5 decades. And he's an amazing architect. Since I worked with him ever since he joined IGBC, he's one of the most creative, very thoughtful. He is involved in more than 15 rating programs of development, homes, green interiors, affordable homes, resorts, new buildings. It goes on and on. And he's instrumental in more than 800 plus very classic, contemporary, and green buildings certification. He is involved with all the principal architects, designers, MEPs, all of them. He is such a wonderful architect who has a rich experience of more than 20 years of experience. So over to Praveen to share his experience and adding more value to today's session. Over to you, Praveen. Praveen, I'm not able to hear. Praveen, I'm not able to hear. I think there is a mute and you have to unmute. Praveen, something is showing up next to your audio. I think the audio, it's neither mute nor this one. It's showing something different. Please check it out, Praveen. Sandeep, you are able to hear him?
No, not it, sir.
I think he has connected an external gadget or check it out.
Yeah. Mr. Praveen, can you try without the headphones if you can?
Still the icon, Sandeep, it shows something in the blue color Cisco. Oh, now it's gone.
Yeah. Praveen, I think you can mute and unmute, and then you can try now.
Still it's showing some.
That icon is a presenter icon, sir. No, Praveen, we cannot hear you yet. Mr. Anand sir, meanwhile, I think we'll go ahead with the next presentation. Meanwhile, we'll.
Yeah, Miss Tejasvi, she's ready.
Yes,
Okay,
sir, I think.
please. Yeah.
Yeah, Praveen, we are able to hear you now.
Okay. Should I share my screen?
Yeah, please, Sandeep, please, we are able to hear him. Let us go here. Let us go ahead with Praveen.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Praveen, architect Praveen.
Thank you. Sorry for the trouble.
Yeah, it's okay. It all happens with technology.
Yeah, quickly. Yeah. Thank you so much, Anand, and very nicely presented by Abhijit and Samir Joshi before me. Before going to the presentation, let us understand. See, normally we consume 3 meals a day. Food, 2.5 liters average water normally we consume. But how much of air we consume? Anybody aware of this figure? It is very surprising actually. The volume of air we inhale and exhale in a day actually is close to 7,000 to 8,000 liters of air we consume and inhale and exhale in a day actually. That is a huge number. The reports, one of the stats say that we can survive 3 weeks without food, 3 days without water, 3 minutes without air, we cannot survive actually. That is the amount of importance that we give to air in green buildings especially. Many of the speakers before me spoken about the air quality, right? That actually aspect I want to touch in our green interiors rating program today. So we have 5 important concepts that we deal in the green interiors rating system, starting with the eco-vision. Eco-vision primarily depends on the green interior designer actually, because he has got the influence factor on the client. What is the fundamental difference in a normal conventional interiors and the green interiors? That first you should understand that one. In the normal building, any interiors with ours, we select materials depending on the functionality of the project type. We cannot change it. Even aesthetics, of course, aesthetics as per our own convenience, we can design it. The client brief, you cannot change it. But with respect to the conscious effort that we take in the green interiors in terms of selection of the materials that we take up for the interior fit outs, that has got a very, very hairline difference actually. That means in terms of, for example, I select a material, I will see that what is the recycled content in it. For example, I'm sourcing a material, I will see that where I'm sourcing this material from, whether I'm sourcing a very long distance or a short distance, because it has got an impact on the embodied energy of each material. Similarly, the passive architecture elements, you see this beautiful building in Asadi studio, where with Kochi, the climate there is warm and humid climate. So warm and humid climate, we definitely experience high humidity levels. That means sweat definitely will have, right? Whereas when you enter this particular studio, the studio has a very beautiful design, wooden timber design, which is completely having a openable wrappers actually. So all through the orientation, 4 orientations got openings. It actually helps the cool breeze to go from one direction to other direction. So whenever you actually go enter the space, you see this space inside, all this space here, it's got a openings, clear openings. And from inside, you can see outside very clearly. Whereas from outside, you cannot see what is happening in interiors. Light is, you'll have a filter light. When you go inside, there is no air conditioning, no fans. But definitely, even though the outside is 38 degrees with a high humidity level, when you go inside and sit for a few minutes, you'll actually find relaxed actually. So you'll actually feel very comfort conditions that actually we call as passive architectural elements. That also can be consciously designed by a very good climatic interior designer actually. So those kind of elements also we consciously take into a green interior. Similarly, a old material which is actually not worth for any of the people, but when you have a good eye for detail, that means you see a old wooden door. Let's say, for example, this particular project has got 80-year-old door, but he has seen that this can be extended life to next 15-20 years time. That kind of vision our green interior is actually promoting. So these, when they use such kind of things, that means by concept is driving the client in the green interior field. One more important aspect that we talked by many of the speakers before me are the daylighting and the views. Yes, absolutely. I will only touch on the important aspect because already many speakers already spoken details. But what actually we want in the daylighting aspect is that the lux level that we maintain in the naturally condition. That means when you have access to natural light into the spaces, it has got a very fundamental impact on the occupants, because whom we are designing for, it is for the occupants. So when you have a natural light coming into the spaces, it can be an open office, it can be a meeting space, it can be a boardroom table. You have a completely, the setup will actually change, the environment will change. When you compare with the artificial lighting environment, the natural lighting will be completely different. How much lighting we require, the lux level? We say that for a normal office, we require close to 250 to 300 lux level to as high as 1100 lux level. That is what lux level we need to maintain. It should not be more, they should not be glare, only the specific light which is actually sufficient for your official requirement is actually to be designed. So for a lighting, so lux levels, you need to depend on the lux levels. So you can do through simulation approach or through manual calculation approach also you can do it. So when you have a natural light, what is the benefit to the occupant? So many of the reports say that, see, normally we sleep, right? 8 hours or 10 hours we'll sleep. But there is something called as deep sleep. The deep sleep only appears for half an hour to 1 hour for any human being. When you have a natural light into your spaces, it can be your home, it can be your office where you're working. So the deep sleep can increase by maybe 20 minutes to 30 minutes in a normal regular hours. That actually helps your own health actually. That also a very important factor that we normally studied in many of the world gambling reports. Same extension is for the outdoor views. Sitting on the same desk, like we have seen more good ergonomical design chairs and tables in the previous presentations. From the same chair, if you're able to see, have a sight of vision to outside views. When you're seeing from the chair, you're able to see outside what is happening, whether it is a sky or raining or you have trees, water bodies. What happens is the mind gets relaxed. This is one of the fundamental factors that we actually promote outdoor views from each desk. This is actually a very important factor in the productivity factor actually. So according to World Gambling Council report, whenever the occupants have got thermal comfort and natural views to outside, they say that the productivity can easily increase from 5 to 10% actually. That means that is having a major impact in each occupant. So normally when you see all the commercial buildings outside they actually look as a completely glass building. But sadly, when you go actually into any space, you see that they actually block all these windows through blackout blinds. That means not even they know what is happening outside. That's very sad actually. So this aspect actually gives a very important factor to occupants. For example, it's coming from an argument. When he sees outside for a split second, he actually feels very relaxed actually. It actually brings down his own BP, blood pressure, everything. So this is one of the aspects we actually promote in our green interiors. Now let's see the very important significant factor of the fresh air ventilation. So many of the projects think that ventilation design, yes, my building has got a perfect ventilation design and sufficient fresh air ventilation is there in my space, but that is actually myth. In reality, many of the office spaces, they actually don't design proper fresh air ventilation. So many of the projects ask me, what is there any standard to be referred? Yes, of course. We have an industry standard called ASHRAE 62.1, which actually gives how much fresh air to be pumped into your interior space. That is very important for the occupants. Now, for a conditioned space, for example, a non-conditioned space, very simple. You can have a openable windows to sufficiently pump the fresh air. What about the conditioned space? Many of the interior spaces in the buildings, they have completely conditioned. It can be centralized AC or it can be split units. But how do they supply the treated fresh air? But how much fresh air I should supply into a space? For example, you've got a space of 1 lakh square feet. How much I pump the fresh air? So there is a very clear fundamental formula. For example, the office carpet area, whatever it be, maybe into 0.06 is the standard there. ASHRAE 60.1 actually tells us. Plus, not only the office space, the number of occupants has got a very important criteria. That means same space has got 1,000 people, maybe 2,000 people also, because the type of the typology, it can be call center, it can be a normal office. It actually has a very great impact. So when you have occupants, each occupant, the office should actually supply 5 CFM, cubic feet per minute of volume of air should pump into the space. When you have these kind of parameters, that means the office actually meets the requirement. But when you have a fresh air take, normally we take from outside only, but where should provide? Definitely, when you provide the fresh air, that should be actually away from most of the contaminants. That means the fresh air that when you take from outside. It should be away from the smoking zones, away from the any industrial areas, or away from any pollutants. It can be from roads, or maybe a standard water area should be completely away. When you have this fresh air, what is it the occupant is benefited in terms of? We actually have a very high significance in terms of enhanced air quality, the comfort, the performance of the individual area actually goes up. Not only that one, the well-being, that means less absenteeism will be observed in many of the things. That's what you can see. A good IQ can enhance the occupant productivity by almost to as high as 15%. So many of the projects say, how do I monitor whether the fresh air is sufficient or not? Very simple. We should actually have a CO2 monitoring system. So when you have a CO2 monitoring system, what happens is, you can actually plug the system into the space. When you have the air conditioning, everything is going to throughout the day, you can actually monitor the temperature, relative humidity, the PM10, PM2.5, the air quality index, and also CO2 monitor. Here, this is actually clicked in one of the interior office actually. They're running almost close to 10 to 12 hours in a day. But when you see in this one, because see, dashboard is not for just for showing the data, data to the public. You should also take action. Here, something is wrong actually. You see here, CO2, normal recommended CO2 is close to 550 to 600 ppm in an office space that we recommend. Whereas you see here, it is close to 1000 ppm actually. That means they should take some kind of step. When I asked them, are you supplying the fresh air? They said yes, but there is something actually wrong. That means they should have taken a corrective step. The supply of the fresh air to be also be taken care, because many of the spaces we have seen that they have split units. So we actually given a correction stating that from morning, whenever they occupy the office, before that they can do something like flush out. They open all the windows and do a natural flushing. When you do natural flushing, what happens is it removes stale air. That means hot air is still removed from the space, so that the load on the air conditioning also comes down. The fresh air also can be controlled. So that is the way you should actually see the dashboard. That means just putting a dashboard doesn't matter. It is not like useful. You should also take preventive action and able to take steps so that you can get the correct CO2. The correct CO2 should be maintained between 600 ppm to maybe 650 ppm can be acceptable levels. Very important thing is, how do you control the volatile ionic compounds in our office? That means we use a lot of finishes, paint finishes, MDF, the tables, furniture, everything is there. You brought a beautiful furniture from different imported or maybe from local furniture. But how do you save the from the indoor pollutants? Many of the reports say that the indoor pollutants are almost 5 times more than outside. Today, during the pandemic, we are staying, believe it or not, almost everybody is staying from home only. We are actually working from home. When you're working from home, you may be thinking there are so many toxins present. That means when you close the door and go for vacation and come back for 5 or 6 days back, after, when you just open the doors, you actually get more smells. So those kind of called as VOCs, volatile organic compounds. So many of the materials will emit like formaldehyde, nitrous oxide, benzene, so many things in office also. So there are so many plants. We actually identified these plants are called natural air purifiers. In Delhi Powerport Business Center, they have done a display of these things practically. That means they monitor the IEQs, they monitor the oxygen levels for each desk. So when they plant this areca palm, snake plant, or peace lily, so many plants available in the research document of green interiors, which says that each plant can naturally treat the VOCs. That means when they tested in a closed chamber, when way back in 30 years back, NASA did the testing. So those when they tested, they did almost 90% of the gases, very dangerous gases like formaldehyde, nitrous oxide. Actually, they're able to absorb it, and able to not only absorbing, parallelly they're able to supply oxygen. That is the importance of indoor plants. This can be, I mean, if you're anybody interested, you can further go through more details later. Similarly, ergonomics actually definitely Samir Joshi addressed ergonomics. I'm not going to touch. Similarly, acoustics, today acoustics NRC level, noise reduction coefficient, which should be more than 0.6 NRC. When you actually select the ceiling level NRC, and for a flooring level like carpet system, please see that the NRC should be close to 0.25 to 0.3. Of course, for the partitions, you can measure the decibel levels between 35 to 40 decibels. If you're able to maintain those kind of acoustic parameters, definitely the office has actually got a good acoustics. Now let's quickly touch the energy part. Of course, Abhijit actually explained on the energy part. Very quickly, I'll run the energy air conditioning part here. We have very clear 3 parameters. Air conditioning, we have to see that we can pick a BE 3-star and above fixture, air conditioning fixture, or for a large office, definitely we prefer a centralized air conditioning in which water cooled will be preferred mostly. So when you pick a air conditioning, the primary important is COP, coefficient of performance. So always when you please pick that, the COP should be always higher. Higher the better means, for example, a 5-star AC has got a COP of close to 4.1. Similarly, a 3-star has got a COP of close to 3.25. So you should pick, when you have a higher COP, definitely the efficiency of the system will be improved. That is the indicator we can give. So lighting levels, lighting we normally measure in LPD, low lighting power densities. So most of the projects, definitely they install LEDs, LED bulbs. But we say that it's not about only bulb selection. Please see what is our LPD. Normally in offices, the baseline is 1 watt per square feet. So let's say, for example, when you design your office, you have achieved 0.6 watt per square feet. That means you are 40% efficient in the baseline. That means baseline means it is for every building. It is like an apple to apple comparison. So we always compare with the international standards. Similarly, of course, you can go for appliances like B 3-star appliances for your refrigerators, for your LED TVs, for your any of the appliances that you actually purchase for your office. Actually, it can be printers, it can be your Xerox machines. Not only this one, you should actually move towards the net zero. So when you have sufficient savings on the energy part, the water balance is there that can be compensated through on-site renewable energy. So that can be solar PV or hybrid power can actually utilize. There's a simple concept that we can use in the interior part actually. Now let's see, go to water efficiency. Water efficiency, we have 2 things. One is called flush and flow fixtures. In the flush fixtures, we used to actually waste 10 to 15 liters earlier for single flush, right? So we are promoting something called as dual flush, which is once again recommended by the Uniform Plumbing Code of India, which says by going with dual flush, a project can save almost 30% to 40% over the old system actually. Similarly, for water fixtures, normal taps, conventionally you see, when you open for a minute, 8 to 10 liters of water is actually wasted. So by simply putting a simple aerator, which actually mixes the air with the water, the amount of water is reduced by more than 30% actually. That means by simply putting an aerator, the project is able to save almost 20 to 30% of the baseline of Uniform Plumbing Code. The baseline is 6 liters per minute. So that is one of the effect of aerators actually. Now let's see what the significant important materials that we use for our furniture, paneling, flooring, ceiling decorative elements, anything furniture in your offices. Normally, the wood component will be major actually in interior fit outs. World is losing the forest cover at the rate of land of Greece every year. Hence, designers like you and me, we should go for an alternative source of wood. For example, you see here eucalyptus, bamboo, cork. I'm mentioning these trees. Why? Normally, you take a teak wood tree or a walnut or sycamore, they take 30 to 40 years to go to maturity, then you cut and send to the manufacturing place to get the desired workstation or table. Whereas these plants, these trees grow within the cycle of 10 years. Any tree which grows within 10-year cycle, they call as rapidly renewable materials. So we promote in green interiors rapidly renewable materials. So for all your wood applications, please use alternative sources of wood so that it actually helps in our energy and resources, actually natural resources save. Of course, when you source your carpet or any material, please look for recycled content in that particular material. So when you use for recycled content, definitely you're actually doing something actually to the environment also, because you are doing less dependency on the virgin resources. That is the ultimate intent of our materials actually. So please prefer materials with recycled content. Similarly, wood chips. So all the wood waste which actually generally generated in the construction waste, please collect it and send to the manufacturer so that this can be used for engineered wood or MDF boards. So once again, you can actually buy in your own other projects. So this is a wonderful project by Romy Khosla in Delhi. The old furniture, which is actually their office, it is a Escher Volvo mission. So all you know that all the Volvo machines come in pine crates. The architect actually beautifully stored all these pine crates and use it for the office furniture as well as the decorative ceiling elements. You can see all the ceiling elements, and the furniture is completely made from the pine wood. So the only thing is, when you purchase the new material from outside, you may take cost of 50,000 to 60,000 rupees. Whereas when you actually use the old material, you don't know how to take the cost, because here the functionality, the application is actually able to meet through the old material or the material which is actually able to go to landfill. That actually solving his application intent actually. That is actually we want. So you can take the same cost as a new product of any other material for his requirement of functionality. So before I close, just I want to tell you that in the green interiors, we have seen eco-design approach. Water conservation is one of the very, very important. Energy efficiency, interior materials, and the environment. When a product does something different, which is not addressed in the rating system, definitely we actually give credit in the innovation category. Not only this, these are all called pick and choose credits. We have two mandatory requirements, which is actually one is segregation of waste at source they should do, and also the fresh air requirement. So when I have a basic level of fresh air availability in the project and dry and wet waste segregation, the project is eligible for attempting this green interiors. So whenever a project attempts 80% and more points, they'll be getting a platinum rating, which is called as global leadership. So that is what we normally aim for every project. Still, they have 20 points to actually leave. Still, they will get the platinum actually. Very simple certification process. Once the project reaches IGBC.in, the project need to submit the documents to IGBC. The review will be done by third-party assessor, not IGBC. It is sent to third-party assessor. He does the review and send back to IGBC. We do the quality check, and not only quality check, we also conduct a physical verification of site. It is like a hand-holding kind of thing where we do clarification. We'll take clarification also and also help the project. Once we do it, we actually announce the rating level. If they say if they accept the rating level, they'll be getting a plaque and certificate. In case they have any denial points, definitely the project has got a full chance to come to the appeal route also. And once they accept, we'll be giving the certificate and award. This is a simple certificate process for green interiors. So before we close, let me tell you that to this month, October, from 29th to 31st October, we have our annual Green Building Congress event happening. And the theme itself is actually completely suits our today's topic. Theme itself is called Hygiene, Health and Wellbeing in Green Built Environment. So I think many of the prestigious and eminent speakers actually coming into this platform today, this 3 days. And you can also, we will be hearing to Joseph Allen, who is actually one of the author of health and well-being programs for across these 6 to 7 months in different forums he has spoken. He's also part of a Green Building Congress on 29th evening. So that's some of the stats I want to give. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Praveen. Thanks for taking us through the ancient architectural elements like the one which you shared with Kochi, which you all seen in many of the temples and in and around the Kochi. Amazing. And when it took us through various elements on how do we choose the material, energy related, water, as well as on sourcing the material, and the process of IGBC Green Interiors and the MOU with IIID and other like-minded associations and organizations. Thank you, Praveen. Thanks for sharing your rich experience and expertise in handling various prestigious projects across the country. And you're also one of the good faculty members who are training people every single day for the last 20 years. Thank you, Praveen. Thanks for joining us this very important Godrej session, which is being hosted as part of Green Building Congress. As Praveen and my colleague said, kindly block your diary 29th, 30th, and 31st of October this month end. Asia's largest event and India's flagship event, Green Building Congress, is happening. Godrej is one of the premier supporters. You will hear more of you having heard from Abhijit, Samir Joshi, and one more to follow. You will hear more and more solutions in Congress also. So now we will come to another interesting presentation on the building responsive and sustainable communities by Ms. Tejashree Joshi. Ms. Tejasvi Joshi is also a very good friend of IGBC, and we have a very strong working relationship ever since IGBC was formed. She is heading the environmental sustainability at Godrej and Bias. With more than 20 years of experience, he has facilitated strategic target setting and achievement under Godrej Group Sustainability Initiative, which is very popular, Good and Green Vision 2020, which is being inspiring many corporates across the country, and which is applauded by World GBC across the world, which includes achieving zero waste to fill, carbon neutrality, positive water balance, reducing specific energy and water consumption, and increasing renewable energy portfolios. She is also leading programs like environmental studies, planning for sustainable establishments, projects, design and development. And she is also in charge of the very unique and very unique Godrej wetlands management, which you all know that we have a huge mangroves, which is a part of Godrej property in Vikhroli campus, which takes an amazing initiative, takes us through a wonderful tool, enhancement of the biodiversity. Without any further ado, over to you, Ms. Tejasvi Joshi.
Thank you, Mr. Anand. I would just share my screen. Am I audible?
You are.
Thank you. So is my screen visible now?
Yes, you're able to see the colorful Godrej logo. Amazing.
Thank you so much. I would like to just thank IGBC for giving us this opportunity and talk on the various initiatives that we have taken on environment, sustainability, and well-being. Also, I am aware of the challenge that I have being the last speaker, not to be, you already have certain exhaustion of patience, people hearing various presentations. So I will try and keep it interesting, and I'm sure I'll be able to do that. Without further, discussion on this, I would like to go ahead. While my colleagues Sameer and Abhijit spoke about building sustainability and various sustainability and well-being, I will talk about they support sustainable buildings and establishments. So we know that communities are built for the need of the present. They get developed over a period of time, and also slowly adds up to its footprint based on the need and based on the changing scenarios of the expectations of its stakeholders and users. However, communities are not built for a year or a short span of 5 to 10 years. They are basically built to cater to the requirements of tomorrow. And they also need to transform to adapt to the changing needs of the users and the stakeholders. In short, they need to be resilient to enable these changes and adopt these changes. So they also need to sustain, and they need to last for decades, because you don't build something just for 5 to 10 years. Like I said, they last over 50 years, 80 years, 100 years, and therefore they need to be futuristic and resilient to adapting to the changes, change in users, change in needs, and change in footprints. So what do we mean as resilient communities? These communities need to be socially conscious to the settings that they are in. They need to be environmentally responsible in terms of its impact and minimizing the impact. One very important aspect that we have learned in the pandemic is it is always beneficial if the communities are self-contained. The dependencies on the outside world need to be reduced to help communities to continue in scenarios like the pandemic. They need to be dynamic, like I mentioned. They need to be responsive to the changes and the changing needs of the stakeholders. They need to be easily transformative to make themselves available and suitable for the changing needs. And they need to be built with a futuristic outlook, keeping in the mind that communities are built for over not only decades, but even centuries. So more importantly, we have experienced that in during the pandemic, communities are actually the congregational spaces in scenarios like these, where the restriction of movements have made people be restrictive to the areas and the communities that they are in, and therefore it becomes very important how do we build these communities which are more responsible and sensitive to these needs. So when we look at a mixed use kind of communities where you have multiple stakeholders and multiple users, including industry operating in a township, it needs to support its people so that the organization can deliver the business results. This is a cue I'm taking from Samir's line, and it is important that not only buildings do that, but also the communities do that so that the building can function and the interiors can function with this aspect. While corporates have their sustainability targets and they have set very ambitious goals in terms of being more responsive in terms of their impacts and as well as their footprints on the environment, they also have programs to manage these footprints and see to it that the impacts are reduced and minimized over a period of time. But it's not only important that corporates do that. The corporate infrastructure also needs to cater to this, and while doing that, the buildings or the infrastructure need to be transformative and keep on adapting to the new requirements as we progress and as the futuristic requirements come up. Right from just being an operational building to getting itself as green certified, we are looking at buildings which are net zero energy buildings, or rather net zero buildings. Why only energy? It can be even water and waste. So that's the future that infrastructure and buildings need to look at within the operational spaces of industrial setups. While we look at the communities which are developed over a period of many decades, there are always changes that happen in the community, and there are always changing users that happen and the needs of the community. So, like for example, an existing manufacturing plant may need to be transformed into a IT space or a service space, and this actually changes the footprint of the building. It changes the footprint of the facility, which needs to be addressed adequately as well as be responsive right at the design and conceptualizing stage. And that's where we look at the certifications like the green building certifications and the wellness certifications, where it will enhance the productivity and use of the building for its occupants. It cannot be restricted only to commercial spaces or industrial spaces. These concepts have to move to residential spaces, more so because today we are seeing the need of more and more working happening from homes, and therefore the home interiors or the home spaces also need to be responsive, sensitive, and enhance the productivity or enhance the wellness of people. And that's where even in the residential space, certifications like the green building certifications for residential homes, as well as looking at wellness aspects of homes, start becoming important and will play an important role in the development of future communities. Communities also have infrastructure and support facilities to cater to occupants and users in responding to the community's needs. Like they need to adapt to the requirement, they need to help residents, they need to help the occupants to and emotionally support occupants to actually in this challenging times. And at the same time, while they do that, they also need to be responsive or sensitive to its impact on the environment. Like if it's a hospital, it has to consider the waste it is generating in terms of not only biomedical waste but also the COVID-19 waste, and the responsive handling and disposal of this waste is very essential to contain the spread of the disease. But let's not restrict the sustainable community development just to industrial spaces, commercial spaces, or facilities like a hospital or a residential complex. You can also extend it to other facilities like schools. And I think this is important, very, very important, because these are where young minds are shaped, and the practices that you follow in these spaces actually develop them in a right thinking. They are sensitive to their footprint on the environment, and children are the best teachers for the parents. They take home the message, and therefore it is very important to imbibe these values in children. And what better than demonstrating it through the school by greening your school itself. So green school certifications are also available, and these can be utilized to sensitize kids in terms of their responsibility towards environment. While residential colonies are developed, just like in the industrial settings or commercial buildings, they also need to be sensitive in terms of their usage of resources, as well as how responsive they are in terms of replenishing back resources to the environment. They have to be sensitive in terms of resource uses. Very important use. We know, water, when it is available, it is so cheap for the residential areas. It is actually subsidized, and therefore we don't value it. It only gets valued when it is not there. You cannot generate water or create water like you can probably create energy from a DG set or any other. Important responsibly, look at the leaks that are there, plug them, reduce flows wherever necessary, try and reuse the water for all the applications we can, so that we reduce the use of fresh water by recycling, and also replenish water back to the environment. Therefore, rainwater harvesting and replenishing should be part of the integral development of any community. Whatever water is being drawn out of the ground by the community needs to be replenished back, if not equal, if not more, at least equal amount of water which you are drawing over a period of the year has to be put back in the environment, back to the ground, so that communities can sustain over multiple decades and even centuries, like I said. Water recycling is actually generating additional resource, and this actually helps communities to sustain in terms of water scarcity. Recycled water today can be used for any kind of applications. We know we can use it for flushing, we can use it for landscapes, we can use it for cooling towers, and many other applications for washing, etc. All the secondary applications where you don't need potable water, and there are very good systems where these kind of very good quality waters are generated, and this water can be used back even safely, even in the communities, for flushing and other use. Communities is to adopt the green development is management of its waste, and the larger the communities, the enormity of the problem is more, that you all know. And the aim of every community which is developed has to be that it should ensure there is zero waste that is going to for disposal to landfills. We all know that all the mega cities are already overburdened with the municipal solid waste, and it's overflowing its capacity. So it is very important that responsive communities manage this waste within their premises and ensure that there is no waste which is actually going to landfill. All non-industrial waste management, although is a challenge, but it can be done even at large scales. For example, in Godrej, we have a facility which manages 11 tons of waste, which is generated from the entire Godrej campus with multiple users every day. And we ensure that no waste is dumped to any of the municipal dumping grounds in Mumbai. And this has been happening since 2014. So it can be done. It's always a challenge to do it, but consistent and persistent efforts can lead to achieving this daunting task of achieving zero waste to landfill. So also, while we build transformative communities, they also need to protect the green spaces around it. And I think now everybody realizes this importance, because if we are talking about fresh air within the building, it has to be outside the building as well. Otherwise, it cannot be within the building. And therefore, greening of the spaces and maintaining green spaces also plays a very important role. But it's not enough to have just green spaces. The green spaces need to be responsive to the local biodiversity and the indigenous microfauna, so that, and most especially in the urban settings where the concretization is destroying the small habitats for microfauna, on which the major fauna actually depends. And therefore, what is important for communities to actually map what are its, as we map the occupants of a community, we also need to map the ecosystems within the community. And in the ecosystem, we need to map the habitats that we have in the community. So it's not only the mapping of the habitats, but there should be always a constant effort to create more and more artificial habitats for enhancing microfauna and biodiversity, which supports the larger greening and biodiversity of the spaces. So we protect the local indigenous species, which help develop the biodiversity, which is very important today, and more and more businesses are aligning to protection of biodiversity in the coming years. It's not only important to protect the biodiversity. It also, like I said, we need to create artificial spaces within the built space for biodiversity, greening of areas around the campuses, creating of terrace gardens where you actually use indigenous and local plants for developing biodiversity instead of exotic plants, so that you also save on resources like water and maintenance of the areas. These play a very important role in actually developing local biodiversities. It creates green corridors for migratory birds, microspecies, microfauna, and supports local greening. And as you know, in green buildings, a terrace garden actually helps in reducing the energy consumption as well. So it also has a benefit on the green building. We create artificial microsystems where biodiversity is supported and flourished, so that it impacts the overall fauna and biodiversity protection of the area. While we do that, and while we map the biodiversity and the ecosystem spaces, we also need to have a baselining of what are we protecting. So when creating a baseline of the species that we are protecting within the communities is very essential, so that very solid steps can be taken to enhancing this, as well as protecting the existing species. You never know, you may discover some threatened or endangered species as well in your community, and it is a great service to protect that kind of species by giving great efforts on protection. And while you see here the expanse of the protected mangroves in Vikhroli that Godrej has done, if you see in the background, this is a very interesting photograph. In the background, you'll see a small hillock, and you will wonder what is it. And I'll tell you what it is. It is the Leonard dumping ground in Mumbai, which is around 10 feet, 10-storied high, and it is overflowing and choking the water streams and destroying the mangroves around it. And so it is very important that communities start being responsive of the waste that they are generated and manages within, so that, because Mumbai now, like places like Mumbai, do not have more space for creating dumping grounds. At the same time, if you see the statistics, basically, any dumping ground, at least 30% of the waste comes from construction debris, and that's filling the dumping grounds. And major cities like Mumbai has a lot of issues on the construction and demolition waste, and how to manage it. Normally, people the transporters take shortcuts and they dump it around the roads, they dump it on the mangroves, they dump it on the green spaces, destroying the biodiversity of the city, which is very rare and needs to be protected. And therefore, we need to think out of the box solutions for managing these kind of issues, which are at not only at a India level or a Mumbai city level, but also at a global level. And circularity is one very important tool that you can use in addressing this kind of waste. So manufacturing facilities can be set up for addressing this construction and demolition waste issue. The segregated construction and demolition waste or concrete can actually be crushed, pulverized, and reused back in creating building blocks, which actually caters to all the design, testing, as well as the strengths and other requirements of a building block or a concrete block. But it doesn't only do that. It has a very high green quotient in terms of its impact on the environment. And LCA comparison of a recycled concrete block along with a standard concrete block has revealed that it consumes 50% less primary energy. It has 51% less abiotic depletion impact and 33% less global warming impact. And therefore, you can see the green quotient these kind of building blocks have. They are also now accepted by the IS standards and certified by the IS standards. So it can be used for all kinds of non-structural building requirements. And it's not only the blocks. There are pavers and other such units which can be created from the construction debris. There can be precast structures which can be created. There can be other entities like benches, garden benches, fencing walls, etc., which can be created where there is no need to use any virgin material, and this recycled construction debris can be very effectively used to address these kind of needs. And include this green products, they are also very much accepted in the green building rating system. Very important thing, if you look at the cement CO2 emission, recycling of 1 ton of cement actually could save you around 900 kgs of CO2, and reducing waste of water, wastage of water to around 5,000 liters of water. And cement is actually responsible for 7% of global annual greenhouse emissions, making it the world's second largest industrial source of carbon dioxide. So therefore, recycling cement, recycling concrete is a very essential step and a futuristic thought which needs to be now adopted without leaving it to the future by responsible builders and communities. We also are looking at futuristic technologies where cement and concrete act as carbon dioxide sinks through various technology interventions where atmospheric carbon dioxide or point source generation CO2s are captured and induced back in the concrete or construction in the concrete generation, where it locks the carbon dioxide and acts as carbon dioxide sink, which can reduce the negative impact of cement and concrete, which today we see. And I think this is a very important kind of a futuristic view that we need to take and very actively work on the research and development of these technologies. Not only this, but other technologies where we look at more carbon sinks so that we follow the path of 1.5 degree reduction and adopt the science-based targets initiative to reduce the impact of our footprints on the environment. Very briefly, I would just like to say that while the current pandemic will last only for a couple of years, we know the communities are here to stay for decades, and therefore every thought we put in developing a community, every action we take, right from the concept to the execution and looking at the life cycle approach, if that needs to be responsive, it needs to look at its environmental impact and work on mitigating or negating its entire environmental impact. And then that is when we will actually truly move towards being more sustainable and responsive. Just before ending, I would just like to play a short video. This is will just give you a glimpse of Godrej Group's efforts on environment. This is a video we had created for the World Environment Day, and thank you for your attention.
Tejasri, there is really no audio.
Yeah, but it is only a music, so it's fine.
Okay. I want to install it.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your patience, listening.
Yeah, thank you, Tejasri, for taking us through what's happening in the Godrej campus, which is one of the most vibrant and which preserves all the flora and fauna, to say the least. And what are the other activities? You got the solutions. So we had 3 experts speaking from Godrej, started by Mr. Abhijit, followed up by Mr. Samir Joshi, then our own colleague, architect Praveen Kumar Soma, who's an expert in green interiors and green homes. He spoke about the smart offices. Last but not the least, Tejasri taking us through how it is all happening in hectares and hectares of land of the Godrej campus, wherein there is a high railway track running through, subway, you name it, everything is a city by itself. still how all the green principles are all applied in abundance and how they are all effective. So we will have a brief Q&A. I request all the panel, all the participants to have a Q&A. As a reminder, with due respect to all the stakeholders who have spoken here, what you're seeing is only the tip of the iceberg. The same team will come and share much more better and greater solutions for all our concerns during our Congress, Green Building Congress, 18th edition of the Congress on 29th, 30th, and 31st October. The entire Godrej team, as a premier supporter of Green Building Congress, will be there. Please, apart from other who's who from the country and who's who from the worldwide on the green built environment. So we once again thank Godrej for a premier supporter of Green Building Congress. They are supporters ever since the Green Building Congress started in 2001. So we are always privileged to have Godrej team as a supporter. They add enormous amount of value in terms of bringing in their own rich experience, their expertise to the table to each one of us. So without any ado, so we have taken a more time. It is always great to listen from all the four speakers. So over to Sandeep and others. How do you take the question answer session, Sandeep?
Yes, sir. We have categorized some questions as per the panelists, sir. First, with Mr. Abhijit, there was an interesting question which asked, I mean, where one of the participants is asking, what is the hidden risk in constructing a green building? And along with that, because you also touched base about IEQ, there was also one more question mentioning how can you ensure quality air, not only the CO2 content and all, but also virus free in a closed atmosphere, which is very relevant to the current situation.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks a lot for the question. The first question, is there a hidden cost when you go for green certification? So I think we have been working with so many projects. So as a process, we as a consultant, what we do is do the evaluation of overall project, the initial stages, where we actually do the budgeting, what are the green features that we're going to incorporate, and what is the cost involved in it. And we don't miss any such features which is going to cost you later. Apart from that, as a part of process, we also make sure whatever is the design which is finalized, which is going to get you particular rating of green certification, all the requirements have been incorporated in the tender document. So as a part of community agent's role, we make sure everything gets into tender documents and nothing is actually missed. And later on, you have to add maybe more money during the construction. So all those scenarios actually we avoid as a process and make sure there's no, so I don't think so there's any hidden cost for the green certification. Today rather actually the additional cost for green certification is very minimal. Maybe it's gone to 1% or 2% for some of the project because we have those mandatory guidelines from various municipal corporation or state governments which actually are required to meet. And if you do that, anyways, we'll be meeting the green building requirements. Even ECBC guidelines, for example, some of the states it is mandatory. So if we achieve the ECBC guidelines for the project, definitely there's no additional cost for you in that project. The second part is, can virus also be filtered in your air conditioning or maybe filtration across your AHUs? I think this is a very important question. I think many studies and experts have talked about it. And whatever I understood from it, I think the virus size itself is very small, which cannot be directly arrested. But the virus requires some kind of surface, whether it's airdrops or pollutants, which actually can be arrested in the filtration media. So indirectly, those filtration actually can arrest by arresting those dust particles or even airdrops, etc. But otherwise, having good ventilation, more fresher coming, always dilutes those viruses and pollutants, which actually helps reducing the spread of the virus. Yeah.
To add on to what Abhijit said, we also, IGBC has formed a task force during the COVID, and there is a task force guidelines available, how a green buildings, what are the measures one has to adopt in order to protect ourselves and stay protected with respect to the COVID-19 pandemic. I would request you to kindly visit igbc.in or write to any one of us, Praveen, Sandeep, me, or any one of us, Abhijit and others. We'll be more than happy to share the task force report, which gives a lot of practical, doable, measurable elements in order to avoid the virus and other elements, whatever. Yeah, over to you, Sandeep.
Sure, sir. I think the COVID related guidelines by IGBC would be shared to all the participants along with the thanks email, and also the Godrej experts contacts too. Sir, coming to the next questions to Mr. Samir Joshi. There are two questions which are very interesting. Like they're talking about how do we in this pandemic situation, how is the intervention of IoT can help we maintaining the hygiene, the sanitary, the kind of hygiene factors be controlled. Second, whether doing this digitalization or IoT can help in going to net zero. They're linking the energy efficiency and health and hygiene with the IoTs. What do you, sir?
So I think I addressed that part, linking to net zero part during part of my presentation. More and more has become digital. Energy consumption is going to go increase. So one has to balance it, really with what are the other credits which are available. There is no alternative there. IoTs and all these digital devices do not work free. They do consume energy. However, what is found out is when you do a right intervention using digital, maybe you can bring down the overall energy consumption. So devices per se may consume energy, but devices can be used to reduce the energy consumption. A simple example, a smart lighting or a closed loop feedback to the HVAC system. If there are no occupants, then the sensors will tell the HVAC system to sort of go slow. All of these measures can result in energy savings. So one has to look at overall impact and can't simply say because we are using IoT, because we are using a lot of digital devices, the energy consumption is going to increase, and therefore what do I do? So one has to look at overall. The second part of the question is what's the impact on hygiene? I think one workspace intervention which has been repeatedly talked about during this pandemic is can I minimize the touch interfaces? What it means is a simple solution which is without any digital sensor solution, which is a foot operated door. Or if I need to incorporate a digital interventions for doors which open automatically, lift which can be operated without manual interventions, right from your biometric devices for attendance system getting replaced with remote reading devices, to the faucets in the washrooms which you don't have to touch to open it. There are n number of interventions which are possible, workspace interventions, using the available remote sensing technology. So yes, health and hygiene can be ensured with huge amount of interventions. It's impossible to sort of cover all of them here, but there are solutions which are possible, right from a turnstile, which our security business came out with, which dispenses sanitizer moment someone who wants to enter a facility. So lots and lots of interventions possible, and IoT necessarily do not result in increase in energy consumption. They can help you reduce the energy consumption on the other hand. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And the next question for the panelist, Mr. Praveen Kumar Soma. There were questions about the kind of lux levels that are required, because your slide shows the requirement for the daylight, which increases the productivity. They are asking about what is the lux level that is minimum required to meet this criteria. And also, they also wanted to touch upon the air purifying plants.
Thank you, Sandeep. First, on the lux levels, see, for every space, for example, it can be office space, it can be restaurant, it can be auditorium, it can be reception area. So for each space, the lux level will be changing actually. For example, when you're doing a video conference, you may require is close to 600 to 800 lux level, because your face should be identified. So normal office worktop in the work plane, we require close to 250 to 800 lux level actually. That is normal working plane. Working plane means it is a 2 feet 30 inches or 750 mm height level. It's called a working level. So at that working level, we are talking about lux level ranging from anywhere between 300 to 1200 lux level, which is actually recommended. If it is more than that one, it's called as glare. So we require I mean, depending on the space, you can actually measure your lux levels on the work plane level through a simulation approach or a normal manual approach. Also, you can do it through simple gadgets. You can measure the lux levels actually. Next one is indoor plants. So we have actually close to 27 indoor plants have been researched in the document in the green interiors, where you can find in Annexure A. For example, let's say a money plant. Money plant is called as natural air purifying plant. It actually absorbs all the formulates present in the air. Similarly, there is something called as areca palm. Areca palm, snake plants, these plants specifically absorb benzene present in the air. Similarly, there is something plant as fern. The fern is the only plant which can survive in humid conditions. That means in a, suppose for, let's say for example, you take a home. In a home which is a humid condition place, it's a bathroom. That means these plants can be planted even in the bathrooms. That means all the humid levels, this plant can survive. Even when you see a place called place with parking areas where we normally have all the cars parked, where you see a lot of CO emissions, carbon monoxide emissions. In those conditions also, some kind of fern plant can be positioned there. Actually absorbs the poisonous CO gas also. So like there's different kind of plants available in the with us actually. So we did some plants which are researched, and those can be given to you any time. You can actually refer to our Green Interiors Rating Program, Annexure A. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Praveen. Next question to Tejushri Joshi is about I would say this is one of my personal question too. There are many corporates who are also attending this session and have seen the overall vision of Godrej, and also very inspiring to see the responsibility towards sustainability being taken in many initiatives. What is the major challenge or what is the major hurdle a corporate would face to have such kind of sustainability goals and to achieve them? Can you explain so that other corporates can also get inspired? Ms. Tejushree Joshi?
Yeah, sorry, I had not unmuted. Yeah, is the senior management or the top management being in tune to the requirement of sustainability and being responsive towards it. I think that is the first major hurdle. If that happens, it actually percolates down, and it makes things easier for an organization to pursue sustainability goals. But that being, what was earlier, what was happening. Today, if you see, corporates need to be sustainable because the consumer is demanding sustainability. The consumer is demanding responsiveness towards your environmental and social impacts. And more clients are looking at vendors or looking at suppliers who are environmentally conscious and have sustainability programs within their businesses. And so I think slowly sustainability is becoming a hygiene factor for businesses, and you cannot run businesses without being sustainable anymore and grow. You can also explore other opportunities or geographies if you have sustainability programs. A lot of time you will see that they are prerequisites in the pre-qualification requirements for businesses. And so today, like I said, it's becoming more of an hygiene factor. But the challenge is to develop internal expertise. I think organizations need to focus on having internal expertise, developing internal expertise to drive sustainability programs, understand what is appropriate for the organization, and take appropriate programs with very, very specific targets to achieve these programs, so that the sustainability initiatives that an organization takes are measurable, quantifiable, and that also motivates not only the organization but its employees as well to participate and contribute towards sustainability. So I think the main challenge is bringing the employees on board, and at the same time having internal expertise or building its internal expertise to drive these programs in a very, very systematic manner.
Thank you, madam. I think that was well explained. There are some other questions too related to seating ergonomics and other. We'll try to answer them separately when we give the email to them post the session. With that, we'll close the Q&A looking at the time factor. Over to you, Mr. Anand, to give the concluding remarks, and after that, we'll close with the video on Green Building Congress.
Actually, we thank all the participants for staying back for a highly impactful and highly educating session with the Godrej team. I once again thank Godrej for a premium supporter of Green Building Congress 2020, which is going virtual. And we in IGBC thank our friends, Mr. Abhijit, who's a great friend of us ever since we started in 2001, who's very, very knowledgeable in this particular field, has all the answers and all the solutions for every single problem related, associated with all the 27 IGBC green building rating programs. He's handling enormous amount of projects. Thanks, Abhijit, for coming and joining us on a working day, that too on a Friday evening, staying us. Thank you, Abhijit. And next is our friend, Mr. Samir Joshi. Amazing. In fact, very, very colorful slides, and you have put a bigger spotlight in terms of ergonomics, and others are all loosely used for a very long time. Now you put the spotlight, ergonomics, how it is going to impact our business results itself. So that is a key challenge. In the next 2 to 3 years, we'll be wondering, we'll be running between pillar and post in order to provide safer places for all our employees, safer places for all our colleagues and home. So Godrej Interior has a unique and very special Green Pro certified and uniquely designed portfolio of every single product. He has shown it already how it is going to be a VC encouraged meeting rooms, social distancing accommodated in our open office plans, noise and distractions, and all the challenges, whatever we are facing with respect to work from home distractions and physical. Amazing, Mr. Joshi. Thanks for coming and being a part of this 2.5 hour session and enlightening all about, especially all of us sitting and listening to you all also for the last 2.5 hours. What kind of chair we are all sitting itself is we have to look down. Amazing. Thank you, Mr. Joshi, for being a part of this wonderful exclusive session we are organizing for Godrej. So once again, thank you, Mr. Samir Joshi. We look forward to be part of Green Building Congress also. And my own colleague, architect Praveen Kumar Sharma, once again, thanks for, as always, throwing a lot of light. And Ms. Tejasri Joshi, you always come up with very unique way of depicting it. And I all thought that it is Powai Hills. When you said that what is the 10 circle, you put a googly again, saying that it is a 10-story dumping yard. On the other side, you are able to maintain a beautiful mangroves, which is a house to so many reptiles and crabs and biodiversity. Across a few meters, there is not so green element. Amazing. The way you have proven all the solutions, how the building and the full life cycle analysis people are talking. Everything is happening within the same Godrej compounds, and how when the profits and the planets are people and planets are along with the profits, it makes all the more difference to the entire business equation, followed by a very powerful video. So we in IGBC thank Godrej for being a premium support for Green Building Congress and sharing a very highly educative, highly impactful, and this is the need of the hour. In fact, I would say, with every businesses trying to come over from the pandemic, Unlock 5.0, you all offered all the solutions, be it a consultancy, product, or how a Vikroli kind of a campus can go green, that in the heart of the financial capital of our own country. It is much easier for all of us to do something and take a leaf out of all your learnings. Once again, we in IGBC thank all of you for joining us, and we thank Godrej team to be part of the Green Building Congress 2020, and we will be traveling all along with Godrej team till 31st for this Green Building Congress, and it forever. Once again, all the participants, stay protected. For more solutions, contact our friends in any of the groups in Godrej or write to us. We'll be more than happy to connect with them also. So once again, we thank every participant for your valuable time. Without you, this session doesn't make any sense at all. Your presence, the kind of questions we all compile, these videos also, some of you left at the very fag end. We'll share the video also to amongst all of them. We'll take it up in the social media also. So we in IGBC thank once again Abhijit, Samir, and Tejasri, Praveen, and all our participants. Stay connected, stay home, keep well, have a nice weekend.
Thank you, Anand.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Abhijit.
So much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Ravi.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Participant.
Thank you. Pleasure is always ours. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, Sandeep. Thank you, Sandeep and team who have done a great job at the back end. Thank you, Sandeep.
Thank you, Sandeep.
Thank you so much. Bye.
Thank you, Anand.
Before we end, we'll run the video on the Congress and then we'll close the session, sir.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. I'll announce it. Thank you, gentlemen. We will anyhow, since it's almost 6:30, we don't want to delay any further. We will share the video to you, all of you. Thank you once again. Stay safe, stay protected. Thank you all. So with this, we come to an end of this exclusive session for Godrej as a premium supporter organized as a part of Green Building Congress 2022. Take care.